Another thing I want to talk about at this point is it's probably a good idea to measure your wrist. So I have a tape measure right here, and so I'm just going to take a measurement of my wrist. So if I hold the tape measure this way, my wrist is, I would say it's about 5.5. So I think that I want to make my bracelet around 6 inches. So later on, when we want to add the ribbon clamp and the clasp to the bracelet, it's going to add about an inch-ish of extra length to the bracelet. So you want to stop an inch shorter than your wrist size. So for example, I want to make a 6-inch bracelet. So I'm going to make this beaded section 5 inches. So I'm going to bead up until I get to 5 inches. So I have this much more to bead. And that is so that I can get to a 6-inch bracelet. Okay, so I've beaded up until the point where the rest of my string is about 6 inches long. So at this point, we're just going to leave this alone and we're just going to add more thread to our needle. So another 3.5 to 4 feet of thread, which is about 120 centimeters. Okay, so one thing to remember when you're adding thread is that you still need to leave this much of tail. So from here, I'm just going to take some of this thread out and leave that as the tail. So I'm going to tie another knot, same as what we did in the beginning. We're going to leave a bit of a tail thread, tie a simple knot, simple overhand knot like this, and just tie that and move that down to the next spot. And we're just going to leave these two pieces of thread alone and basically just pick up from where we left in the pattern. So basically same thing, I'm going to move my thread under the warp threads. These are the warp threads, and continue on with the pattern, and also try to keep it organized so that your thread doesn't get all tangled up. Yep, so we'll just keep going from here. Okay, so I'm sort of in the middle now of the bracelet, and if you feel that your beads are getting a little bit heavy and your thread is getting a little bit saggy and it's hard for you to thread things with the way the tension is, like right now my tension I think is still okay. It's still pretty taut, but if it happens to be the case that your work is just getting heavy and everything's just falling apart, one thing I sometimes do is I will take a Sharpie or a pen, something that is like a smooth pen, and I would just pop that in the middle of the strings like this, very, very carefully. And that will stretch the thread a little bit to make your thread a little tighter. So now it's, as you can see, it's a bit more bouncy. It's got a bit more tension in it, and that will help to hold your thread up a little bit better for your looming. Okay, so I've just done exactly 5 inches of this bracelet. So I'm gonna get ready to start tying everything off. So the way to tie off is I'm just gonna turn it around to face me because it's easier to tie off that way. Okay, so to finish off, I'm just gonna go from the bottom row and I'm just gonna go 1 row up. And I'm going to put my thread until I get somewhere in the middle. So maybe where this dark green bead is, and I'm just gonna pull it across. There's not really an exact science to this or anything, but this is just what I'm gonna do. And then we're gonna tie a knot. So to tie a knot, I'm gonna go up one, and I'm gonna tie a knot up here. So to tie a knot, I'm going to catch, let me bring this up. Okay, so I just brought up my beads so that I can zoom in even better, but I'm gonna go in between and I'm gonna try to get that thread. And make sure you don't catch the vertical thread, just the horizontal thread. Like that. So I've caught that thread and I'm going to tie a knot. So I'm gonna pull it. Let me just focus. So I'm gonna pull this. And I'm going to just put my needle through that hoop. And I'm gonna tie a knot. And that knot will sit right there on this horizontal thread. And then I'm going to put my needle through the bead. Sorry, I'm right-handed, so this is a little hard for me to do, but I'm just gonna put it through a few beads like that. And when you pull the string, that knot is gonna pop right into this bead. Okay, so I'll do a second knot to show you. So now I'm coming out of this third row. I'm gonna try to catch this horizontal thread. So I'm gonna catch that thread. So I've caught that thread. And then I'm gonna make a knot. So I'm gonna pull it through like this, and then put my needle through that loop and pull. And you can see that it's making a knot right there. And then I'm going to put my needle through again. A few more beads down. Like that. And pull. And that knot is gonna pop right into this dark bead. And then I'm just going to maybe make a circle. So I'll show you how to make a circle. I'm just going to put my needle through a few beads. And like a circle, I'm just going to go down one and go around like this. And then go around again. So that's a circle because you've gone around like that. And then I might even just go up one more. And at this point, I think we've done enough circling and tying off. So I'm just gonna cut my thread here. So that end is tied off. Let's do another one. So I'm going to do what I did, same thing. I'm going to go up a few beads maybe up to here. Whoops. And then I'm going to catch a bridge right there, just the horizontal. Do not catch the vertical thread, just the horizontal bridge thread. And then I'm going to put my needle through that loop and tie a knot. Then I'm going to go back this way and maybe go up here. Go up one more row, catch that thread bridge, tie a knot, and go back, maybe up to here. Oops. And then make a circle, or even a zigzag is fine, but I like to do a circle. So maybe go back a few and then make a circle here. So there's not really any hard and fast rules. It can be pretty random. You just want to make a couple knots and a couple zigzags and maybe a circle if you have enough thread. Let's do that again. So I'm going to go down one and maybe end up somewhere here, somewhere in the middle, not at the edges. And then I'm going to go down one, catch a horizontal loop, there might be more than one thread because we've been tying off the previous one, so it's okay. I caught 2 threads, that's fine. Just make sure you're not catching the vertical thread. Okay, and then I'm gonna pop that back in, exit here maybe. You can even, if you want, you can even make your knot further down. It doesn't have to be in the next row. You can even skip a row, then do another zigzag here, and then make your knot here. And then go back and cut that. Let's do that again. So I'm just gonna pick a direction to go, and then I'll go the other direction with the other thread. That way they're not both filling up the same beads. Pick one direction for one thread and another direction for another thread. So for this one, I'm just gonna go tie the knots and loop zigzag going down, and for this other one I'm going to zigzag going up. So I'm gonna go to the next bead going down, you know, maybe I'll stop here. And then I will go into one row down, pick up the horizontal thread, the top one, then tie a knot. That keeps happening. Tie a knot. Maybe I should have left a longer tail. It's okay if you want to leave a longer tail, if it'll make it easier for you to grab the thread for tying the knot. And then I'm just going to zigzag in the opposite direction. Then maybe I'll grab this one and tie a knot here. Like, and again, you just don't want to be going all the way to the outside edges because it'll be too obvious. You want to hide your threads in the middle so that you can also hide all of your knots in the middle. And then I'll just do a little loop, circle loop that way, and pull and cut. And we'll do the last one. So since I went downwards with the other thread, I'm just going to go upwards with this thread. So I'm going to go up. Maybe I'll go this way with that thread. And then I'll tie the first knot up here. Catch that horizontal, that top horizontal thread, just the one thread. Not both, just the one. Because remember there's a horizontal thread on top and another horizontal thread at the bottom. Just the top one. I'm going to go back in the direction, and then I'm going to catch this one, tie a knot, make sure I don't lose that tail, go back so that I can pop that knot right into this dark bead, and then I might zigzag again. And then I'll make a loop here, going back like a circle. And then I'm going to cut that thread.